A pleasant day, classmates, especially to our kind professor, Ma'am Nerissa Malco Beatriz. Our subject for today is theories in practice in guidance. Let me introduce first myself. I am Mrs. Josephine R. Sanchez from Lagunoy South District, and I am your first reporter, to be followed by Ma'am Joy B. Pilapil and Sir Alan Martisano. And the last reporter will be Ma'am Anita A. Peteza. We will discuss the humanistic theories, the characteristic features of humanistic theories in the contributors, and also we will come across to explain the distinctive features of Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers' humanistic approach. Humanistic theory. But before we proceed to our lesson, let us all bow our heads and feel the presence of our Almighty God. Dear Lord and Father of all, thank you for today. Thank you for ways in which you provide for us all. For your protection and love, we thank you. Help us to focus our hearts and minds now on what we are about to learn. Inspire us by your Holy Spirit as we listen and write. Guide us by your eternal light as we discover more about the world around us. We ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen. What is the main idea of the humanistic theory? Humanism focuses on each individual's potential and stresses the importance of growth and self-actualization. The fundamental belief of humanistic psychology is that people are innately good and that mental and social problems result from deviation from the natural tendency. In history, humanistic psychology is an outlook or system of thought that focuses on human beings rather than supernatural or divine insight. This system stresses that human beings are inherently good, in that basic needs are vital to human behaviors. Humanistic psychology also focuses on finding rational ways to solve these human problems. At its root, the psychology of humanism focuses on human virtue. It has been an important movement throughout history, from Greek and Latin roots to Renaissance, in now modern revival. This theory and approach in education takes root in humanistic psychology with the key concepts and focusing on the idea that children are good at the core, in that education should focus on rational ways to teach the whole child. This theory states that the student is the authority on how they learn, and that all of their needs should be met in order for them to learn well. For example, a student who is hungry won't have as much attention to give to learning. So schools offer meals to students so that need is met, and they can focus on education. The humanistic theory approach engages social skills, feelings, intellect, artistic skills, practical skills, and more as part of their education. Self-esteem, goals, and full autonomy are key learning in the humanistic learning theory. What is the goal of humanistic theory? Humanistic theory aims to help the client reach what Rogers and Maslow referred to as self-actualization, the final level of psychological development that can be achieved when all basic and mental needs are essentially fulfilled in the actualization at the full personal potential takes place. How is humanistic theory used today? Humanistic therapy is used to treat depression, anxiety, panic disorders, personality disorders, schizophrenia, addiction, and relationship issues, including family relationship. What is humanistic learning theory in education? Good teachers are always looking for ways to improve their methods to help students thrive in their classroom. Different learning and theories and techniques help teachers connect with different students based on their learning style and abilities. Teaching strategies that are student-centered often have great success in helping students learn and grow better. Learner-centered approaches place the students as the authority in the educational setting, ensure that they are the focus of education and are in control of their learning to an extent. The idea of student-centered learning is an example of the humanistic learning theory in action. It's valuable for current and aspiring educators alike to learn about student-centered education and other humanistic approaches to use in their classroom. These approaches can be vital in helping students truly learn and succeed in their education. This theory and approach in education takes root in humanistic psychology with the key concepts focusing on the idea that children are good at the core in that education should focus on rational ways to teach the whole child. Maslow in humanistic psychology suggests that students are inherently good and will make good decisions when all their needs are met. Humanistic psychology focuses on the idea that learners bring out the best in themselves and that humans are driven by their feelings more than rewards and punishments. This belief that humans are driven by feelings causes educators who understand humanistic psychology to focus on the underlying human emotional issues when they see bad behavior, not to just punish the bad behavior. The humanistic learning theory developed further and harnesses the idea that if students are upset, sad, or distressed, they're likely to be able to focus on learning. This encourages teachers to create a classroom environment that helps students feel comfortable and safe so they can focus on their learning. Emotions are at the center of humanism of psychology. There are several important principles involved in the humanistic learning theory that all lead to self-actualization. Self-actualization is when all your needs are met. You become the best you can and you are fulfilled. While Maslow and the humanists don't believe that most people reach self-actualization. Their belief is that we are always in search of it. And the closer we are, the more we can learn. What are the principles of humanistic learning theory? These are the principles of humanistic learning theory. First, the student choice. When we say student choice, it allows the student to have a choice in the selection of tasks and activities whenever possible. Help the students learn to set realistic goals. Choice is central to the humanistic learning theory and humanistic psychology. Humanistic learning is student-centered, so students are encouraged to take control over their education. They make choices that can range from daily activities to future goals. Students are encouraged to focus on a specific subject area of interest for a reasonable amount of time that they choose. Teachers who utilize humanistic learning believe that it's crucial for students to find motivation and engagement in their learning. And that is more likely to happen when students are choosing to learn about something that they really want to know. Next is the fostering engagement to inspire students to become self-motivated to learn. The effectiveness of this psychology approach is based on learners feeling engaged and self-motivated, so they want to learn. So humanistic learning relies on educators working to engage students, encouraging them to find things they are passionate about so they are excited about learning. Next principle is the importance of self-evaluation. For most humanistic teachers, grades don't really matter. Self-evaluation is the most meaningful way to evaluate how learning is going. Grading students encourages students to work for the grade instead of doing things based on their own satisfaction and excitement of learning. Routine testing and rote memorization don't lead to meaningful learning in this theory, and thus aren't encouraged by humanistic teachers. Humanistic educators help students perform self-evaluations so they can see how students feel about their progress. Next principles is the feelings and knowledge are both important to the learning process and should not be separated according to humanistic psychology. Humanistic teachers believe that knowledge and feelings go hand in hand in the learning process. Cognitive and affective learning are both important to humanistic learning. Lessons and activities should focus on the wild student and their intellect and feelings, not one or the other. And the last principles of humanistic learning theory is a safe learning environment. Because humanistic learning focuses on the entire students, humanistic educators understand that they need to create a safe environment so students can have as many as their needs met as possible. They need to feel safe physically, mentally, and emotionally in order to be able to focus on learning. So humanistic educators are passionate about the idea of helping students meet as many of their needs as possible. In the humanistic learning theory, teachers and students have specific roles for success. The overall role of a teacher is to be a facilitator and role model. The role of the teacher includes teach learning skills. Good teachers in humanistic learning theory focus on helping students develop learning skills. Students are responsible for learning choices, so helping them understand the best way to learn is the key to their success. Next is provide motivation for classroom tasks. Humanistic learning focuses on engagement, so teachers need to provide motivation and exciting activities to help students feel engaged about learning. Another role of a teacher is to provide choices to students in task subject selection. Choice is central to humanistic learning, so teachers have a role in helping work with students to make choices about what to learn. They may offer options, help students evaluate what they are excited about, and more. Another is create opportunities for group work with peers. As a facilitator in the classroom, teachers create group opportunities to help students explore, observe, and self-evaluate. They can do this better as they interact with other students who are learning at the same time that they are. Here are some humanistic approach examples in education. First, teachers can help students set learning goals at the beginning of the year and then help design pathways for students to reach their goals. Students are in charge of their learning and teachers can help them in the right direction. Another example, teachers can create exciting and engaging learning opportunities. For example, teachers trying to help students understand government can allow students to create their own government in the classroom. Students will be excited about learning as well as be in charge of everything runs. Another is teachers can create a safe learning environment for students by having snacks, encouraging students to use the bathroom and get water, and creating good relationship with students so they will trust speaking to their teacher if there is an issue. And the last example is teachers can utilize journaling to help students focus on self-evaluation and their feelings as part of learning. Using prompt questions can help students better understand their feelings in progress in learning. A teaching degree is a crucial step for those who want to be teachers. A degree can help them learn about current practices and trends in teaching, learning theories and how to apply them to the classroom. Established teachers can also greatly benefit from continuing education and continuously expanding their techniques. When considering their own teaching practices, teachers can work to incorporate humanistic theory into their classroom. So these are the best practices from humanistic theory to bring to your classroom. First, making time to collaborate with other educators. Because when educators work together, they form important professional and personal relationships. Teachers often draw support from each another and can delegate tasks that allow each teacher to feel effective. Collaboration between teachers contributes to school improvement and student success. Another is co-planning lessons with other teachers, evaluating students' needs and wants regularly, connecting with parents to help meet specific students' needs, preparing to try new things with students regularly. Who are the two main contributors to the humanistic theory? Two of the leading humanistic theorists who made advancement in the field of personality psychology were Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. Their theories emphasize human strengths and aspirations, conscious, free will, and the fulfillment of human potentials. They present a flattering and optimistic image of human nature and describe us as active, creative beings concerned with growth and self-actualization. And that's all my report. Thank you for watching and listening. And our next reporter is Ma'am Joy B. Pilapil. Thank you again.
Good morning, classmates. Good morning, ma'am. Before I start my report, allow me to introduce myself. I am Mrs. Joy B. Pilapil. I live in San Jose, Camarines Sur, and currently teaching at San Rafael Agpo Elementary School of Lagonoy South District. My report is about Abraham Maslow. Who is Abraham Maslow? Abraham Harold Maslow. Abraham was born on April 1, 1908 in Brooklyn, New York. He was best known for creating Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a theory of psychological health predicated on fulfilling innate human needs in priority, culminating in self-actualization. Maslow believed that self-actualizing people possess a number of key characteristics. Some of these include self-acceptance, spontaneity, independence, and the ability to have peak experiences. The life of Abraham Harold Maslow from 1908 to 1970. He is a miserable childhood because he was frequently persecuted and bullied by local gangs in a racist environment. He is alone in the world, finding a new style of life, becoming a behaviorist. From monkeys to self-actualization, a parade changes his life, becoming famous, developed the famous Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and died in 1970. Maslow made a number of important contributions to the field of psychology. Today, he is remembered as one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. Among his contributions were his theories focused on the positive aspects of human nature. At a time when the most psychologists focused on aspects of human nature that were considered abnormal, Abraham Maslow shifted focus to look at the positive sides of mental health. Number 2 contributions. His work influenced how we see mental health. His interest in human potential, peak experiences the improvement of mental health, and personal growth had a lasting influence on psychology. And number 3 contributions, his work continues to exert an influence today. While Maslow's work fell out of favor with many academic psychologists, and some suggest his hierarchy might be due for an update. His theories are enjoying resurgence due to the rising interest in positive psychology. View of human nature. Maslow believed that human nature has a basic goodness and a natural tendency toward self-actualization. Self-actualizing people exhibit the following characteristics. Number 1, perceive reality accurately and fully. Number 2, demonstrate a greater acceptance of themselves, others, and nature in general. Number 3, exhibit spontaneity, simplicity, and naturalness. Number 4, have a great quality of detachment and need for privacy. Number 5, are autonomous and therefore tend to be independent of their environment and culture. Maslow's Humanistic Theory of Personality. Maslow's Humanistic Theory of Personality states that people achieve their full potential by moving from basic needs to self-actualization. This is also often called the third force in psychology. Humanism was a reaction to both the pessimistic determinism of psychoanalysis, with its emphasis on psychological disturbance, and to the behaviorist view of humans passively reacting to the environment. Abraham Maslow's Humanism. As a leader of humanistic psychology, Abraham Maslow approached the study of personality psychology by focusing on subjective experiences and free will. He was mainly concerned with an individual's innate drive towards self-actualization, which is a state of fulfillment and which a person is achieving at his or her highest level of capability. Maslow positioned his work as a vital complement to that of Freud, saying, "It is as if Freud supplied us the sick half of psychology, and we must now fill it out with the healthy half." Background to the hierarchy. Maslow created the hierarchy of needs after examining the lives of a group of highly successful people including Mahatma Gandhi, Albert Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, and Eleanor Roosevelt. According to Maslow, each of these successful people had each of these needs fulfilled, which let them climb to the top of the pyramid and reach self-actualization, or a sense of fulfillment. Maslow thought only about 1% of all people reach self-actualization. What is a Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory of motivation which states that 5 categories of human needs dictate an individual behavior. Those needs are physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. Next, Maslow's hierarchy of needs begins at the base with physiological needs that must first be satisfied before higher level safety needs and then psychological needs are addressed. The third one, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is a famous pyramid that shows the fundamental things that people need in order to be fulfilled in their lives. Personality and the hierarchy of needs. Maslow is perhaps most well known for his hierarchy of needs theory, in which he proposes that human beings have certain needs in common and that these needs must be met in a certain order. These needs range from the most basic physiological needs for survival to higher level self-actualization and transcendence needs. Characteristics of needs. The lower the need is in the hierarchy, the greater is its strength, potency, and priority. The higher needs are weaker needs. Higher needs appear later in life. Physiological and safety needs arise in infancy. Belonging needs and esteem needs arise in adolescence. The needs for self-actualization does not arise until midlife. Because higher needs are less necessary for actual survival, their gratification can be postponed. Failure to satisfy higher needs does not produce a crisis. Failure to satisfy a lower needs, on the other hand, does produce a crisis. For this reason, Maslow called lower needs deficit or deficiency needs. Failure to satisfy them produces a deficit or lack in the individual. Although higher needs are less necessary for survival, they can contribute to our personal growth. Satisfaction of higher needs leads to improved health, happiness, contentment, fulfillment, and longevity. For this reason, Maslow called higher needs growth or being needs. Gratification of higher needs requires better external social, economic, and political circumstances than does gratification of lower needs. For example, pursuing self-actualization requires greater freedom of expression and opportunity than pursuing safety needs. A need does not have to be satisfied fully before the next need in the hierarchy becomes important. Maslow proposed a declining percentage of satisfaction for each need. The hierarchy has two types of needs. Number one, basic needs. At the bottom of the pyramid are basic needs, or what we sometimes call deficit needs or deprivation needs. When we don't have these needs, we're motivated to fulfill them by any means necessary. Number two, growth needs. Once we have our basic needs satisfied, we work on growth needs, or what we sometimes call being needs or esteem needs. These are the needs that have to be met to reach self-actualization. How many levels are there in Maslow pyramid of needs? This is the illustration of Maslow's pyramid of needs. Maslow's theory presents his hierarchy of needs in a pyramid shape, with basic needs at the bottom of the pyramid and more highly level. Intangible needs at the top. A person can only move on the addressing the higher level needs when their basic needs are adequately fulfilled. So at the bottom, we have physiological needs. Consists of breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion. The first of the ID-driven lower needs of Maslow's hierarchy are physiological needs. These most basic human survival needs include food and water, sufficient rest, clothing and shelter, overall health, and reproduction. Maslow states that this basic physiological need must be addressed before humans move on to the next level of fulfillment. Next level, we have safety needs. This includes security of body, employment, resources, morality, the family, health, and property. Safety needs includes protection from violence and theft, emotional stability and well-being, health security, and financial security. Next level, we have love or belonging needs. This includes friendship, family, sexual intimacy. The social needs on the third level of Maslow's hierarchy relate to human interaction and are the last of the so-called lower needs. Among these needs are friendship and family bonds, both with biological family, like parents, siblings, or children, and chosen family, we have spouses and partners. Physical and emotional intimacy, ranging from sexual relationship to intimate emotional bonds, are important to achieving a feeling of elevated kinship. Additionally, membership of social group contributes to meeting this need, from belonging to a team of co-workers to forging an identity in an union, club, or group of hobbyists. Next level, we have STEAM or STEAM needs. This includes self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, and respect by others. The higher needs, beginning with STEAM, are ego-driven needs. The primary elements of STEAM are self-respect, the belief that you are valuable and deserving of dignity and self-esteem, confident in your potential for personal growth and accomplishment. Maslow specifically notes that self-esteem can be broken into two types: esteem which is based on respect and acknowledgement from others, and esteem which is based on your own self-assessment. Self-confidence and independence stem from this latter type of self-esteem. The top level is the self-actualization. This includes morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. Self-actualization describes the fulfillment of your full potential as a person, sometimes called self-fulfillment needs. Self-actualization needs occupy highest spot on Maslow pyramid. Self-actualization needs includes education, skill development, the refining of talents in areas such as music, athletics, design, cooking, and gardening, caring for others, and broader goals like learning a new language, traveling to new places, and winning awards. Hierarchy of needs. Number 1, we have physiological needs, a basic need, not to be confused with psychological. Physiological needs are the things that we physically need to survive. These include water, clothing, shelter, and food. Number 2, we have safety, protection, and security needs, which is also a basic need. We all need to be safe from harm in order to thrive in life. If we're always looking over our shoulder to see if we're going to be whacked, we're less likely to concentrate on learning anything new. Love and belonging, a basic need. Once we have successfully met our physical and safety needs, we can start working on developing relationships. All humans need positive relationships to be fulfilled. This might include having a sense that you include and belong in a classroom, that you've got a loving family to go home to, and that you have a group of friends to learn on in times of trouble. Number 4, STEAM, a growth need. STEAM means to be thought well of. You, you need to think well of yourself. That is self-esteem, but also have others think well of you. If you have low opinions of yourself, you'll set low standard for yourself and never be able to climb higher up the pyramid. Number 5, self-actualization, a growth need. The need for self-actualization is the feeling that you want to become the best you can be. Now that all your needs have been met, you can go on to pursue creative endeavor and succeed to the best of your abilities because you're not busy fighting to have all your other needs fulfilled. Classmates, that ends my topic. The continuation of the topic will be discussed by Mr. Alan Martisano. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and God bless us all.
Good morning to all my classmates, especially to our professor, Ma'am Nereza. My topic is continuation of Ma'am Joy Pilapil's report. What is the progression of needs of the hierarchy of needs? First, if our psychological needs are met, we become concerned with personal safety. If we achieve a sense of security, we will then seek to be loved, and to love ourselves. With our love needs satisfied, we seek self-esteem. Having achieved self-esteem, we ultimately seek self-actualization, the process of fulfilling our potential and self-transcendence, meaning, purpose, and identity beyond the self. Misconception about Maslow hierarchy of needs. Maslow was quick to point out that his initial five-level needs hierarchy somewhat oversimplified the relationship between the needs and behavior. The assumption that psychological needs must first be totally satisfied before seeking the higher needs. Another oversimplification of Maslow's theory is that any given behavior is motivated by a single need. Example of Maslow hierarchy of needs in the classroom: first is food, also water, clothing, safe from guns, safe from strangers, and safe from harm. Example of Maslow belongings needs in the classroom: memberships, democratic class rules, display walls, diversity in class books. Example of Maslow esteem needs in the classroom: celebration of successes, promotion of self-belief, high expectations. The strength and limitation of Maslow hierarchy of needs. Here are the pros of Maslow hierarchy: a focus on emotion, clear and understandable, a positive outlook. Here are also the cons of Maslow hierarchy: linear, the mythological, limit. Why is Maslow hierarchy of needs is important? Impact of Maslow hierarchy. Regardless of this criticism, Maslow hierarchy of needs represented part of an important shift in psychology. Rather than focusing on abnormal behavior development, Maslow Humanistic Psychology was focused on the development of healthy individuals. There has been relatively little research supporting Maslow's theory, yet the hierarchy of needs is well known and popular both in and out of psychology. And in a study published in 2011, researchers from the University of Illinois set up to this hierarchy to the test. What they discovered in that? While the fulfillment of the needs was strongly correlated with happiness, people from culture all over the world reported that self-actualization and social needs were important even when many of the most basic needs were unfulfilled. Such results suggest that while these needs can be powerful motivators of human behavior, they do not necessarily take the hierarchical form that Maslow described. The criticism of Maslow theories. Maslow's idea had been criticized for their lack of scientific rigor. As with all early psychological studies, questions have been raised about the lack of empirical evidence used in his research. Because of the subjective nature of the study, the holistic approach allows for a great deal of variation but does not identify enough constant variables in order to be researched with true accuracy. Psychologists also worry that such an extreme focus on the subjective experience of the individual does little to explain or appreciate the impact of society on personality development. Furthermore, the hierarchy of needs has been accused of cultural bias, mainly reflected Western values and ideologies. Critics argue that this concept is considered relative to its culture and society and cannot be universally applied. The condition for achieving self-actualization. What are the conditions? First, we must be free of constraints imposed by society and by ourselves. And also, we must not be distracted by the lower order's needs. We must be secure in our self-image and in our relationship with other people, and we must be able to love and we love in return. Last, we must have a realistic knowledge of our strengths, weaknesses, virtues, and biases. The self-actualizers. Self-actualization, according to Maslow, the need to live up to one's fullest and unique potential. Maslow viewed self-actualizer as the supreme achiever in the human race. He studied stand-up individuals in order to better understand what characteristics they possess that allow them to achieve self-actualization. In his research, he found that many of these people shared certain personality traits. The characteristic of self-actualized person. First, they have reach a high level of moral development and are more concerned with the welfare of loved ones, friends, and humanity in general than themselves. They are often honest and have the courage to act on their convictions even if it makes them unpopular. They have an accurate, concrete, and realistic rather than a romanticized view of people and life, and yet they are positive about life. Last is life is always challenging and fresh to self-actualization same individuals. How about the strength? First, his theory is an extension of the needs for actualization. He believes that society has to create loving, harmonious, non-aggressive relations. He rejected the freedom notion that human beings in society have to be engaged in constant conflict. Rather, he believed that society could be designed to maximize the probability of self-actualization. He presented human needs as a hierarchy according to their potency. He believes that if human beings are given complete freedom, they could create usage, a loving, harmonious, and non-aggressive society. How about the weaknesses? Maslow's theory has been criticized and unscientific, using uncontrolled and unreliable techniques. His subjects were subjectively selected. He used ambiguous terms. Some individuals seem to become productive and creative even though the two basic needs have not been satisfied. What were Abraham Maslow beliefs? Any theory of motivation that is worthy of attention must deal with the highest capacities of the healthy and strong person as well as with the defensive maneuvers of crippled experience. That's all for my report. Once again, good morning to all my classmates.
Good morning, everyone, especially to our very kind professor, Ma'am Nerissa M. Beatriz. Before I begin, let me first introduce myself. My name is Anita Arevalo Petesa, currently teaching at San Rafael Agpo Elementary School, Lagunoy South District. My report is all about humanistic theory, and I was assigned to report about one of the humanistic psychologists, which is Carl Rogers. Who is Carl Rogers? Carl Ramson Rogers was an American psychologist and among the founders of the humanistic approach in psychology. Carl Rogers was a humanistic psychologist who agreed with the main assumption of Abraham Maslow. However, Rogers added that for a person to grow, they need an environment that provides them with genuineness or openness and self-disclosure, acceptance or being seen with unconditional positive regard, and empathy or being listened and to understood. Rogers believed that every person could achieve their goals, wishes, and desires in life when, or rather if they did so, self-actualization took place. This was one of Carl Rogers' most important contributions to psychology, and for a person to reach their potential, a number of factors must be satisfied. The Life of Carl Ramson Rogers on 1902 to 1987. He is an older brother in a lonely childhood. He was moods and bizarre fantasies. Finding freedom in China, a unique approach to counseling, a breakdown and therapy, finally finding himself. View of human nature. The principal conceptual framework of Rogers' theory revolves around, number 1, the organism, the focus of experience that includes everything potentially available to awareness. Its basic tendency is to strive to actualize, maintain, and enhance itself. Number 2, the phenomenological field, the totality of experience. It is perceptual reality accepted by the individual's perceptual system. The best vantage point for understanding behavior is from the individual's internal frame of reference. Number 3, the self, a differentiated portion of the phenomenological field. It is the I or me. Parental influence is essential in the structuring of the self. Here's an overview of Rogers' key concept. Actualizing tendency, freedom to learn, unconditional positive regard, facilitation, intrinsic motivation. Here's a great quote from Rogers. I become very irritated with the notion that students must be motivated. The young human being is intrinsically motivated to a high degree. Many elements of his environment constitute challenges for him. He is curious, eager to discover, eager to know, eager to solve problems. A sad part of most education is that by the time the child has spent a number of years in school, this intrinsic motivation is pretty well dampened. Rogers believed the ultimate goal of each one is to be a fully functioning person. Rogers identified 5 characteristics of the fully functioning person. Number 1, open to experience. Both positive and negative emotions accepted. Negative feelings are not denied, but worked through rather than resorting to ego defense mechanism. Number 2, existential living. In touch with different experiences as they occur in life, avoiding prejudging and preconceptions, being able to live and fully appreciate the present, not always looking back to the past or forward to the future. Example, living for the moment. Number 3, trust feelings. Feeling, instinct, and gut reaction are paid attention to and trusted. People's own decisions are the right ones, and we should trust ourselves to make the right choices. Number 4, creativity. Creative thinking and risk-taking are features of person's life. A person does not play safe all the time. This involves the ability to adjust and change and seek new experiences. Number 5, fulfilled life. A person is happy and satisfied with life and always looking for new challenges and experiences. Being fully functioning is not always easy. Being functioning involves continually testing, growing, striving, and using all of one's potential. A way of life that brings complexity and challenge. Roger did not describe fully functioning person as happy, blissful, or contented, although at times they may be. More appropriately, their personality may be described as enriching, exciting, and meaningful. What is self-concept? All our thoughts and feelings about ourselves in answer to the question, who am I? For Rogers and Maslow, a central feature of personality is one's self-concept. If our self-concept is positive, we tend to act and perceive the world positively. If it is negative, if in our own eyes we fall far short of our ideal self, said Rogers, we feel dissatisfied and unhappy. Aspect of self-concept. Existential self begins when an individual recognizes his or her existence as a separate entity from others and realizes that he or she will continue to exist over a period of time and space. Categorical self starts after a child recognizes his or her existence as a separate entity and become aware that he or she is an object in the world. Personality development. Central to Rogers' personality theory is the notion of self or self-concept. This is defined as the organized, consistent set of perceptions and beliefs about oneself. The self is the humanistic term for who we really are as a person. The self is our inner personality and can be likened to the soul or food psyche. The self is influenced by the experience as a person has in their life and out interpretation of those experiences. Two primary sources that influence our self-concept are child experiences and evaluation by others. According to Rogers, we want to feel, experience, and behave in ways which we are consistent with our self-image and which reflect what we would like to be like our ideal self. The closer our self-image and ideal self are to each other, the more consistent or congruent we are and the higher our sense of self-worth. A person is said to be in a state of incongruence if some of the totality of their experience is unacceptable to them and is denied or distorted in the self-image. The humanistic approach states that the self is composed of concepts unique to ourselves. The self-concept includes three components. Number one, self-worth or self-esteem comprises what we think about ourselves. Rogers believed feelings of self-worth develop in early childhood and were formed from the interaction of the child with the mother and father. Number two is self-image. How we see ourselves, which is important to good psychological health. Self-image includes the influence of our body image on inner personality. Number three is ideal self. This is the person who we would like to be. It consists of our goals and ambitions in life and is dynamic. Example, forever changing. Positive regard and self-worth. Carl Rogers viewed the child as having two basic needs, positive regard from other people and self-worth. How we think about ourselves, our feelings of self-worth, are of fundamental importance both to psychological health and to the likelihood that we can achieve goals and ambitions in life and achieve self-actualization. Carl Rogers' views on ideal self versus real self. Ideal self is the person you would like to be or thinks he or she would be, while real self is what you really are or is one's self-image. Examples of Carl Rogers' humanistic theory in the classroom. He did not use a curriculum. He encouraged choice. He encouraged inquiry learning. He acted as a facilitator. He expressed unconditional positive regard. That's all for my report. Thank you for listening.